upon a dream. I know you, that look in your eyes is so familiar a gleam, and I know it's true that visions are seldom all they seem. But if I know you, I know what you'll do. You'll love me at once, the way you did once upon a dream. Ah, 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 ah. But if I know you, I know what you'll do. You'll love me at once, the way you did once upon a dream.
They got into a two-step dance with your opinion, never having the courage to develop their own opinion, because their opinion would probably burden you, not synchronize with you. It would create discord or upset with their family, and it would create disharmony. It would be a deharmonizer. The one thing they're trying to avoid is deharmonization. How they survive their formative years is to get into step with their family, with their mothers. And so they're not going to go out of step with you. So they spend their whole lives from birth figuring you out. You and you and you and you and you and you and you. And that's why they're masters. They're masters at communication. They are masters at partnership because they know you better than you know you. They just don't know themselves.
We might finally know why Britney Spears shaved her head in 2007. It was one of the biggest paparazzi moments of all time, when Britney gave herself a buzz cut in front of 70 photographers after leaving rehab. But in an excerpt from her upcoming memoir obtained by People, Britney talks about how it was her way of dealing with being eyeballed so much growing up. She writes, "I'd been looked up and down, had people telling me what they thought of my body since I was a teenager. Shaving my head and acting out were my ways of pushing back."
But I just want the most normal life possible for him. That's all.
Is that possible?
Oh, well, man.
Is that one of your biggest wishes?
Yeah. It's okay. I would like for them to leave me alone.
If you could talk to them as individuals, not as a group, what would you say to them?
I would just say that you have babies at home and you have a life, and if you don't, you have to realize that we're people and that we just need privacy and we need our respect, and those are things that you have to have as a human.
And yet, as upset as it makes you, you wouldn't trade your life now, it seems. That seems strange for some people to understand. If they're making you this miserable, how can you still say, but I'm lucky?
Because I have to believe that I'm here for a reason.
What's the reason?
I don't know. I keep searching every day, just like you do. But I'm so blessed with my baby. That's the happiest thing that's ever, like a miracle, you know. But I just want the most normal life possible for him. That's all.
Is that possible?
Oh, well, man.
Is that one of your biggest...
I can totally understand why my family would have a problem with me doing my own thing. Maybe because I never have. I'm sure it is a little bit different and a touch lighter, me not being responsible for 3 18-wheeler trucks with tour equipment and thousands of people to be responsible for on tour, and Dad and my Robin in the corner of every room I've had to be in for the past 20 years. So Jaden, as you undermine my behavior just like my whole family always has, with hope she gets better. I will pray for her. Pray for what? I keep working so I can pay off mom's legal fees in her house. Do you guys want me to get better so I can continue to give your dad 40 grand a month? Or is the reasoning behind you guys deciding to be hateful is because it's actually over in 2 years and you don't get anything? I will say it. I sat in that kitchen and looked you straight in the eyes, beautiful boy, and said, how come I can't see you guys anymore? Or just see you guys more? I look forward to seeing you guys weekly. You said, Mama, oh, it'll change. You and your brother left me in that house always 2 hours early. Preston would sleep. You would play the piano the whole time. And if I didn't shower you guys with gifts and have amazing food ready and play a motherfucking saint, it was still never good enough. That one time I asked you, looking straight in your eyes, I want to see you more. You called your dad. I never saw you again. I didn't do anything wrong, and I know I'm not perfect, but the love I've given you and how much I adore you and your diplomatic ways, speaking like Pawpaw, self-entitled, this can be fixed, I will see her when she's better. Jaden, it was a miracle I could even have a normal conversation when I got out of that place. But you were just like my other family. You secretly loved looking at me as something was wrong with me. I didn't need a family hiding shit in houses and whispering shit behind my back, feeling subconsciously guilty because I paid for every fucking thing in both homes. I needed unconditional love and support. But guess what? The whole twist of it all, which would have made a little bit more sense, I was in the greatest state I'd ever been because I was actually able to speak up 100% and say no. It saddens me not one of you have valued me as a person. You've witnessed me how my family has been to me, and that's all you know. Like I said, I feel you all secretly like to say something's wrong with me. Honestly, my dad needs to be in jail for the rest of his life. But like I said, God would not allow that to happen to me if a God existed. I don't believe in God anymore because of the way my children and my family have treated me. There is nothing to believe anymore. I'm an atheist, y'all.
Were they just born that way? No. In truth, you kind of have to put some effort into being beautiful. You have to put some effort into being a good communicator. You have to put some effort into becoming a diplomat or a liaison. You don't just show up that way. I mean, have you seen the Gerber baby? When the Gerber baby grew up, the Gerber baby wasn't that cute after they grew up. You got to put some energy and effort into yourself to stay beautiful over time. So let's learn why. Why is Libra so concerned about those things? So it starts at birth. It's born out of all of the messaging that you got in your formative years. You learned how to respond to your environment. And you know that Venus is your rising sign. And this Libra risings usually have a pretty close relationship to a Venetian mother, a mother that is lovely, a mother that is pretty, a mother that is well-intentioned, a mother that is well-mannered, a mother that is polite, a mother that embodies whatever Venus is in their culture. If you are a Libra rising, that's only the beginning of the story. Most people are raised by their parents, but this messaging is coming from whomever raised you or influenced you the most, whoever was your authority from ages 0 to 12, maybe 14, maybe 16, and whomever was your influence taught you this behavior. You either mimicked it or you created it in reaction to who they were. It's usually your mama, but I understand that not everybody is raised by their mother. And this became what I call your subconscious programming in childhood. And this turned into your coping mechanism. And then you perfected it and you mastered it. And then by the time you became a self-developed adult, probably but not always, by the age of 36 years old, it became your programming for life. Now you can undo all of this behavior, but it usually takes a little bit of work, and it usually takes effort, and it usually takes a little bit of therapy. It takes a little self-discovery. And that's why I recommend astrology. If you are a Libra rising or a Libra moon, there is a huge...
After that, my management and my dancers and my assistant of the new people that were supposed to do the new show all went into a room, shut the door, and didn't come out for at least 45 minutes.
Ma'am, I'm not here to be anyone's slave. I can say no to a dance move. I was told by my, at the time, therapist, Dr. Benson, who died, that my manager called him in that moment and told him I wasn't cooperating or following the guidelines in rehearsals. And he also said I wasn't taking my medication, which is so dumb because I've had the same lady every morning for the past 8 years give me my same medication, and I'm nowhere near these stupid people. It made no sense at all. There was a week period where they were nice to me and they said, I don't want to do, and I told them I don't want to do the, they were nice to me. They said, if I don't want to do the new Vegas show, I don't have to, because I was getting really nervous. I said, I can wait. It was like, they told me I could wait. It was like lifting literally 200 pounds off of me when they said I don't have to do the show anymore, because I was really, really hard on myself and it was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. So I remember telling my assistant, but you know what? I feel weird if I say no. I feel like they're going to come back and be mean to me or punish me or something. 3 days later, after I said no to Vegas, my therapist sat me down in a room and said he had a million phone calls about how I was not cooperating in rehearsals and I haven't been taking my medication. All of this was a false. He immediately the next day put me on lithium out of nowhere. He took me off my normal meds I'd been on for 5 years. And lithium is a very, very strong and completely different medication compared to what I was used to. You can go mentally impaired if you take too much, if you stay on it longer than 5 months. But he put me on that and I felt drunk. I really couldn't even take up for myself. I couldn't even have a conversation with my mom or dad really about anything. I told them I was scared and my doctor had me on 6 different nurses with this new medication come to my home, stay with me, to monitor me on this new medication, which I never wanted to be on to begin with. There were 6 different nurses in my homes and they wouldn't let me get in my car to go anywhere for a month. Not only did my family not do a goddamn thing, my dad was all for it. Anything that happened to me had to be approved by my dad. And my dad he acted like he didn't know that I was told I had to be tested over the Christmas holidays before they sent me away when my kids went home to Louisiana. He was the one who approved all.
Repeat these same allegations about Sam in her book Through the Storm, which she released in the immediate aftermath of Britney's conservatorship. Sam actually sued Lynn.
And eventually, your identity is never grown. It's never implemented. It's never even discovered or known. Then, indecision, not even knowing what it is you want because you're too busy taking care of the happiness and joy of other people, is what becomes your driver. Until one day when you get in touch with the repressed rage that you feel inside and you say, that's enough, like Britney Spears. You take a stance for what you want and what is truly right for you and your life. You get in touch with your truth, your desires, your wants, your wishes, your joys, your happinesses, what makes you happy, your opinions. And you now are at a place where you want your preferences to be heard. The very first day, or the day that you can see the truths about the wrong things or the wrongdoings in your life, when you can take a stance to right those wrongdoings and act upon your authentic desires for your own life, is the day, my sweet Libra friend, that you self-actualize. Yes, it's the first day of self-actualization. Now we need a bunch of other days to follow it in order to truly stand in it. That's probably the very first best day of your life, truthfully. Why are Libras better at partnerships than anyone else in the whole zodiac? Well, they learned how to dance how another person wanted them to dance from hello. And their whole life until 12, 14, 16, maybe even 36 years old, to tell you the truth, maybe even longer than that, was about appeasing you, making you happy, making mom happy, making the family happy, making the party so much better than it would be without you. So I'd like to give Libras permission to quit it. To quit it, you're going to be liked so much more. It's funny. It's so ironic. All of that.
I'm not perfect. But then at the end of the day, I shouldn't be doing dumb shit. But also I need to stand up for myself.
Bitch, shut the fuck up with that shit. I am literally at home on live, bitch. This is not the Grammys. You looking at me is not like I am meeting the queen, bitch. Shut your ass up. Holy fuck. Dumb ass, Humpty Dumpty ass bitch. I just dropped my eyeliner, but that's okay. And also I'm trying to get my hair out of the way because I washed my face. Because I'm taking care of myself, dumb ass.
And I do feel sorry for you. I shouldn't be saying bitch this and bitch that and fuck you and blah 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 and you stink. I shouldn't be saying that. It's very hard to not say things like that when you're angry. So excuse me. Used to like your music, but you treat your fans like shit.
Dude, literally suck. You act like I have some responsibility to be like babying people and treating people like stupid, but they're not stupid. That's why I yell at them. Somebody coming in here being like, you're ugly as when you're bald. That's my fan? You're so misguided. You act like I'm saying my fans are, it's like you're hearing me say that out of my mouth when I never did. There's a lot of people I don't like who I listen to their music. If I knew them, I probably wouldn't like them. I'm not your friend. I make music and you like it. And if you don't, cool, great. I don't give a. I'm not doing it so that you like me. I'm doing it because it's fun. I love my fans. I wouldn't have this painting in front of me if it wasn't for my fans. I wouldn't have food on my table. I wouldn't have my house if it wasn't for my fans. I would have a home, but I wouldn't have this house probably. But I'm not giving them all the credit because I do work my ass off, so.
I'm sorry, when the fuck did I say that I was a Satanist?
I said what I said.
It's really tacky and annoying and discredits a lot of the hard work that I've put in.
I don't care, I paint the town red.
It's not real. When you see a fucking CGI dragon fly by a screen, it's not a real dragon. But people really feel that way.
She a devil, she a bad little bitch, she a...
I'm sorry, when the fuck did I say that I was a Satanist?
You met him yet, by the way?
No, never.
So
I've never met him, and he's on Instagram and he comments on like pictures sometimes, maybe not anymore, but he did a few times like months ago. And he's an incredible dancer and a great actor. But yeah, no, I don't know him very well. Yes, when I was like 13, I like wanted to see him, and then I don't know what happened. But yeah.
Have you met him yet, by the way?
I like to downplay a lot of shit, but this is it's a big deal. Damn.
The distorted faces in the second verse were supposed to represent general public, more specifically people on the internet, because in real life I don't deal with this stuff. Like, I really don't. It represents sort of what I'm saying in the video, like I'm walking in a different direction than those people, and it represents my disagreement of how they've sort of expressed themselves about my art. For the fireworks scene, it felt like a celebration in a way of conquering your fear or speaking out on something you believe or becoming who you are to the utmost degree. And so the fireworks kind of represented this breaking through the threshold of feeling like you are trapped somehow.
Reaching deeper into my past and my childhood and what I know and what I've kind of discussed in interviews. People have been like, what's the music that you grew up listening to? And I'll talk about like Erykah Badu and D'Angelo and Jamiroquai all the time, but you don't hear that much in my music unless you dig a little bit deep. But like, none of those songs ever get big or anything like that. But that's the music I want to see out there. So I'm putting my big toe into that right now.
Yeah, I think you definitely achieved it with this record, particularly like the latter half of the album. I'm just like, okay, this is you.
enjoy transforming, and sometimes it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna put it down. I think it's nice to transform a lot, but I feel like sometimes it makes you feel like you're transforming too much. Like, who are you? You almost feel like you don't know who you are sometimes. That's how I've felt sometimes. But I think with this project, it's allowed me to find a center. And so I'm slowly creeping towards the centeredness of myself. And I'm really excited for it. So yeah, I mean, it's all positive, and it's been great.
First celebrity crush.
Probably Jennifer Aniston. Really? You had a little crush on Jennifer Aniston? Didn't everybody?
I have a major girl crush on Jennifer Aniston, but I mean, I think that's like, doesn't everybody have a crush on Jennifer Aniston?
I was doing yoga, and with my girlfriend, and we finished, we were sort of sitting there, just sort of stretching. And I looked over at her and I said, you know what, I have to say, I'm feeling a feeling I don't know if I've ever actually felt before. And that is that I don't want to be anywhere other than where I am right now, sitting across from you. And that means, you know, I'm not sitting somewhere dwelling on the past, or I'm not fretting or, you know, obsessing about something in the future or something that was, you know, it was a feeling of total peace. And I love that. And
how did you get there? Because you had to shed some tears. You had to have some moments where you thought, like, oh my God.
Me not shed a tear?
Yeah,
Come
please.
on.
Yeah.
So, you know, although I did not burst into tears at the opening of that article, by the way, I'll just say that. But anyway.
So you shed some tears.
So I shed some tears, but meaning, you know, it's sort of that the living in the moment, in the now, as they say, in all the self-help books. Because if I had $1 for every book that was sent my way, I could have probably paid for this studio. But you know,
you would have needed $2.
$2 for every book.
Well, you had $2 for every book.
For every book.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you can read the books.
You can read them and you can sort of intellectualize it, but the truth is, and you sit there going, well, how do I do that? How, you know, and you're frustrated, and then you get down on yourself because you're not there yet, and then you just realize one day it's happened. It's collected in your, you know, your cellular memory, and and then one day you're sitting there with your friend doing yoga, and you go, oh, I get it.
I'm okay.
I get it.
As she explained during a conversation with fellow actor Sandra Bullock for Interview, Aniston's childhood was deeply impacted by the fractious relationship between her parents, actors John Aniston and Nancy Dow. Still, Aniston turned her ability to stay positive during her parents' fraught marriage into a coping mechanism for the rest of her life. She told Bullock, "It comes from growing up in a household that was destabilized and felt unsafe, watching adults being unkind to each other and witnessing certain things about human behavior that made me think, I don't want to do that, I don't want to be that, I don't want to experience this feeling I'm having in my body right now. I don't want anyone else that I ever come in contact with ever to feel like that." Aniston eventually came to the conclusion that she would do everything in her power to break that cycle to not replicate the behavior she'd witnessed as a child. As she told Bullock, "You can either be angry or be a martyr, or you can say, you got lemons, let's make lemonade." Aniston's parents' marriage ended when she was just 9 years old. She learned that they were divorcing in dramatic fashion. When she returned home from attending a friend's birthday, her mother informed her that her father had left them. Aniston joked during a 2004 interview with Diane Sawyer,
"He was quick." There 1 minute and boom. Yeah. I think it was like ripping off a Band-Aid.
While her parents' divorce calmed the combative atmosphere that had characterized her childhood home life, it also proved to be a deeply traumatic time for young Aniston. When she grew older, Aniston came to realize that childhood experience left her with an aversion to embarking on serious relationships of her own, given that she had nothing to model what a healthy marital partnership was supposed to look like. She told WSJ magazine, "It was always a little bit difficult for me in relationships. My parents, watching my family's relationship, didn't make me kind of go, oh, I can't wait to do that." Throughout her life, Aniston never felt like she could live up to the expectations set by her mother. Growing up, Aniston recalled that her mother had an intense focus on appearance, which led to a barrage of criticism. Aniston told The Hollywood Reporter, "Because she was a model, she was gorgeous, stunning. I wasn't." In that interview, Aniston noted that her mother's behaviour put a wedge between them, saying, "She had a temper. I can't tolerate that. She was also very unforgiving. She would hold grudges that I just found so petty." The mother-daughter dynamic between Jennifer Aniston and mum Nancy Dow had never been great, but it turned downright frigid in 1999 with the publication of From Mother and Daughter to Friends, a memoir. Dow wrote the tell-all book under her married name, Nancy Aniston, in order to capitalise on her daughter's Friends fame. Jennifer was reportedly blindsided by the book, feeling it to be a massive betrayal by the one person whom she should have trusted the most. The book led to an estrangement between the two that lasted for a decade. So bitter were her feelings towards her mum that Aniston refused to invite her to attend her wedding to Brad Pitt in 2000. Aniston told interviewer Diane Sawyer in 2004 of the state of their relationship at that time.
I never thought my mom would not know my husband.
However, that chill eventually began to thaw. In a 2005 interview with Vanity Fair, Aniston revealed that she and her mother were both making moves towards reconciliation. Even though it hadn't yet happened, Aniston and her mum ultimately did repair their relationship, and Dow died in 20...
All right, so I wanted to point something out here regarding Doja Cat. So from what I saw regarding, people saying that she's part of the Illuminati, which, I haven't channeled it yet or anything like that. I haven't gotten to her chart in regards to channeling her chart. However, just hearing the fact that people think she's part of the Illuminati, and ever since her 27th birthday party, which supposedly was an initiation, because ever since then, she has been acting, I guess, strange, shaving her head, shaving her eyebrows, which I guess is something supposedly you're supposed to do if you want to be in the Illuminati. Like, not obviously shaving your head or shaving your eyebrows, but you're supposed to do something embarrassing publicly to yourself. I'm sure there's more details on that, but it doesn't matter because I do not think this is the case at all. And the reason I'm showing you guys her chart is because when they said it was after her 27th birthday, that this is when she began acting different, especially when she, I guess, made a claim that she was considering leaving the Hollywood business and singing and all that, and she regretted ever getting into Hollywood. Things change, and this is when she started acting different, blah, blah, blah. 27, like, it reminded me of something. I was like, wait a minute. Isn't this when our Lilith return happens? Because there's always something happening with astrology, which is why I could see people paying astrologers to do the work for them. Because honestly, at the end of the day, there is just way too much going on with astrology. And this is why I call it a combination deal. It's like if you're going to a fast food joint, which, combo deal do you guys want? A number one or a number two? Because this is how I feel like astrology works. It's not just one thing. All of these things are interconnected. You can't just talk about one thing without talking about the other thing. This is what I'm talking about. On her 27th birthday, this is when she had her Lilith return. Well, it doesn't show it here in her chart, but her Lilith is in Cancer, which is in the 9th house, and she has it in 2 degrees. So for those of you who are not familiar with astrology or remember this, 2 degrees is a powerful number, okay? So the way I've witnessed this in my life with other people is it's just like anything, I guess, really. You can either do something really amazing and powerful with your life, or you can literally do the complete and total opposite and be really destructive and powerful within that. And that is what the 2 degree person is capable of doing, because 2 degrees belongs to that second house. Well, what does the second house speak of? It speaks of your wallet. It speaks of the things you value. It speaks of the things you own, how you make your money. And technically, while being here on Earth, I don't mean technically, but if you're into spirituality and all that, everybody has their own journey, their own path, but ideally it would be best to make your money on a spiritual level, because then you're balancing out that 8th and 2nd house access, which talks about balancing out the material realm and the spiritual realm. You're doing something you actually love to do. Okay, so anyway, sorry, my Gemini placements are doing it again. I'm getting unfocused. So the Lilith return, okay? It's in her 9th house. What does the 9th house speak of? This speaks of the higher mind. It can speak of spirituality. It can speak of like a higher educational system. In the 3rd house, we're learning, right? This is elementary school, your local town, where you grew up, your neighbors, your cousins, your friends. But the 9th house, this can speak of, you know, it natally belongs to Sagittarius. So this is freedom oriented. This is somebody who is going to think for themselves, kind of comes off as a loner. They're going to think differently, and they're kind of going to go into that Pisces type of energy, right? Because what planet rules the 9th house? It's Jupiter. Jupiter can speak of the teacher. It can speak of higher wisdom. It can speak of spirituality. So it also rules Pisces. And this belongs to the 12th house. The 12th house speaks of another realm. It speaks of the collective. It speaks of things we don't really quite understand. It's also the house we go to when we die, right? And what do you think of when we die? I mean, I don't know about you, but even as a psychic, it's like, yeah, I believe I know what it is. I feel from soul memories that I know what it is. I feel like I know what takes place in the conversations that happen. But do I technically know? No, nobody does. No matter how good of a psychic you are, or how intuitive, no matter how good your soul memories are. And there's a lot of really great prophets out there, right? And they have really great memories, but it doesn't matter. This stuff is not tangible. It's not something you can touch. So my point is, with a Lilith return, there is something going on here. And again, she has it in 2 degrees. She has it in a water sign. Moon rules Cancer, and she has it in the 9th house. So to me, what this speaks of, and her moon, by the way, is in 24 degrees. This is a Pisces degree, even though she has it in Virgo, which is kind of funny. And she has it in the 11th house, which speaks of Aquarius energy. But at the same time, you have somebody who is smart with their emotions, but yet you see this big, thick red line. And you see how it's Saturn and Pisces. This is definitely that energy that she, excuse me, gives off that we don't quite understand. And I think this is actually, I don't want to put it out there yet without like channeling it, but I'm just going to leave it at energies we don't really quite understand about her that may come off questionable. Kind of just like Britney Spears. There are things where we're like, what is she doing? This doesn't seem, gosh, I don't want to say the words because I don't want to put it out there. But hopefully you guys are catching on to what I'm saying. Pisces energy is escapism sometimes. It's water energy. It's, again, it belongs to the 12th house. So when we have Pisces placements, so I'm going to give you a quick example. I have my North Node here in Pisces, and I have it in the 5th house. So even though I don't drink, well, I maybe drink once or twice a year, but I'm not into drinking. I'm not into doing drugs. It's just not my thing. I don't enjoy it at all. So what's my thing though? Because I have a Pisces placement. I'm going to tell you right now, I love psychic stuff. Like I love that. And it's to a point where I do feel like, okay, there's a little bit of escapism happening here. So the fact with her moon being here, this talks about emotions. And Saturn opposing this in her 5th house of having fun. There's something talking about her emotions, despite being in Virgo, which is earth energy, kind of not being tangible because it's opposing Saturn, which talks about your boundaries. And, this is also earth energy as well, but it's in water. So anyway, my point is that somehow she's connected in, I want to say, not maybe the most positive way with Lilith, during her Lilith return, like whatever she was going through during that time that started after her 27th birthday, probably either a little bit before or shortly after, it definitely connected her to the 9th house. Okay. And I don't know how old she is off the top of my head, but she has to be close to 30, right? 28, 29. So she's going to be hitting her Saturn return. This is why she is acting the way she is. It's not part of this Illuminati conspiracy theory, and she hates her fans. I can tell you right now, what's going on is her Lilith return definitely has inspired this powerful 2 degree that is connected to her midheaven, her moon, her emotions, how she feels, and it's connecting her slowly but surely to her Saturn return. So, which is, let's see, what degree? 18 degrees. So this is going to be connecting to her 6th house of health. And she has Virgo, which natally belongs to the 6th house. So this is going to be talking about her emotions and how it connects to her health. And that maybe she has talked before about her drinking, that she does drink. So yeah, maybe there's something up with that. But it doesn't take away the fact that she is connecting to either spirituality or her intuition. And maybe it's just getting a little foggy and, mixed up with whatever else maybe she's dabbling with. Also, definitely 1000%, she's annoyed with annoying ass haters. I'm going to tell you right now, because she's a rising Libra, this is what is annoying about it, that rising Libras get much more pressure to maintain, I'm going to say, their personality, even under pressure. Like, they're pressured even under pressure to keep their cool, even when rightfully so they should be sticking up for themselves. They should be having an opinion. They should be fighting back, because it is definitely one of our karmic lessons in this life is to balance out the imbalanced energy. And the imbalanced energy for a rising Libra is constantly pleasing everybody else, to the point where we are just lost souls in a sense. And we usually have this epiphany at some point in our life. But then that within itself becomes imbalanced. And then we have to eventually balance out that energy in order to figure out who we are. So I hope that makes sense, but this is definitely connected to what's going on with her life right now, because I remember this distinctly for me as well. Excuse me. And also, wait, really quick, because she's a rising Libra and Venus rules 2 degrees, right? Even though it belongs to Taurus energy and it's not Libra energy, it still rules Venus, okay? Which makes it more significant for a rising Libra. I remember when I had my Lilith return, I kept getting all of these things that were connected to psychic abilities, things that were connected to the 9th house, the 8th house, my 5th house, all of that stuff. And I remember getting these intense dreams telling me about the next few years were going to be extremely rough. And I was not connected to anything about spirituality at all. Like, I had never heard the term higher self. I didn't even consider myself to be psychic, or, I just thought I was intuitive. That was it. But I kept having these dreams, and I would keep a dream log, a dream journal. And I was literally writing down, I feel like I'm talking to myself, but this is a different version of myself. It's almost as if it's like a spirit. And I remember Googling this at one point, and the term higher self came up, and I remembered that. And this is the time when I kept seeing numbers. And even though with your Lilith return, at least for me personally, it didn't keep me connected to spirituality or my psychic gifts. But shortly after my Saturn return, it did. And that's exactly what I was being told about during my Lilith return. So this is definitely what's happening with Doja Cat right now. She's just fed up with the bullshit that she deals with in regards to how maybe she can do something that is the same as somebody else in Hollywood, but maybe she'll get more shit for it than another person. And she stands up for herself. But even when she stands up for herself, it's like she's getting shitted on still, because as a rising Libra, you're still supposed to be socially polite, even when you're standing up for yourself. It's just not fair. And with Libra energy, you believe in fairness. And ultimately, as long as you have the right intentions, this is what ends up prevailing in the end. So yeah, I had to explain that. Okay, so I'm not saying I'm proud of this, but I also want to put this out there because I feel like it's very confusing and most people don't believe this. But I've seen it with several rising Libras, so I know I'm not alone on this as a rising Libra. But you see what Doja Cat is doing here. So people are claiming she's a Satanist or she's part of the Illuminati. And look what she's doing here. I'm not saying she doesn't think it's art, because I think she's definitely turning the rumors into art. But Britney Spears does something very similar to this, except what Doja Cat is doing here, or at least in my opinion, and what Britney Spears is doing, it's just kind of just not working in their favor, in their energy field for them, because it goes against their natural energy. They're literally going out of their way to be spiteful or to mock people, because they're just trying to make fun of people for all right, it's gonna sound messed up, but I get it, because I've personally done this as a rising Libra, and I'm working on it because we are human and we are here living a human experience. But there is this thing about rising Libras, because we have Virgo in our 12th house, which is Mercury. Mercury rules this, right? And as a rising Libra, this means we have a strong connection to Venus, right? So Taurus is in our 8th house, and Venus rules the 8th house as well for us. And then if you go to our 9th house, Gemini rules this for us. Again, this is Mercury. Okay, so you have Mercury in your 12th house as a rising Libra, and in your 9th house, which talks about the higher mind. And when it comes to the 8th house of spirituality, or trying to figure out different ways to heal yourself, this connects back to our ruling planet, which is Venus. So we're always going to have a connection to different things, such as maybe the occult, mystical things, maybe taboo-like things. So if you guys remember Britney Spears when she was into, oh gosh, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but what was it, Kabbalah? Oh my God, I'm probably saying that wrong. But I remember being like, I think 15 or 16 years old and finding out this was like her newest thing. And I remember thinking, what? She's into this? But she's also a Sagittarius, so I feel like this makes sense. But this is what brings her closer to just feeling better, because it's like you're healing yourself when you connect to that 8th house because of that Venus energy. There's some type of healing going on. And that could be any type of taboo thing. It's not all this. There's so many different topics when it comes to that, right? It doesn't just have to be astrology. It doesn't just have to be tarot cards. There's different things. But getting back to my point, because Mercury is in our 12th house and our 9th house, we are very much connected to our higher mind. And I feel like our sense of humor can be mean sometimes, because when we feel like people are mocking us or making fun of us, usually we're being socially polite about these things as a rising Libra, because this is how we were raised to be. We were raised to not disturb the peace, don't rock the boat. Even if people are being jerks, like you are just, don't fight back is what you're told, okay? Because on the other side of Libra is Mars. It's Aries energy. And the battle within a rising Libra is that it starts from home. You are taught to be the peace. You were taught to be harmony and to not be Mars. So deep down, we know, because Libra energy is air, it's smart, it's intellectual. We're very much aware of when people are, I just want to say, like, just when they're rude, when they're dicks. But usually most people don't realize that we are aware of this because we don't respond to it. We don't interact with it. Or we do interact, but we keep the peace and we don't give in to the rudeness, or we don't call people out on their bullshit, because it's a mix of not wanting to disturb the peace, but also a mix of being a people pleaser. Okay. Because there is more pressure as a rising Libra, because most people are not consciously aware of this, that they put more pressure on rising Libras. They expect more out of them to keep the peace and to still act a certain way. But we at some point, obviously, for obvious reasons, get sick of this shit at some point in our life. We have this epiphany where we realize, like, we keep doing this for everybody else, and it's like we're not getting anything from it. And this is our karma. This is 1000% our karma, and why we go through these things, because low key, we're definitely expecting something from being that nice. And maybe some rising Libras aren't consciously aware of that. I definitely wasn't. I had to realize that through, I guess, my path, my journey through spirituality. And I'm still learning. I'm still not there yet. But when you do something nice for people, it's supposed to be from the bottom of your heart, and you're not supposed to expect anything back. Rising Libras, low key, it's like if they're doing something like not calling you out on their shit, sometimes it's because they expect that harmony back. And if they don't get it back, then they're going to lose their shit at some point. So with that being said, Britney Spears acting the way she is on social media, she 1000% is doing this to embarrass her family. She's doing this because originally this started from what they considered to be embarrassing them, and then them getting greedy, money hungry, thinking their money would be affected, even though it was her money. But this is, what rich people do when they're making money off of other rich people in their family. But anyway, I'm gonna hold off on that. That's gonna be for the video to come. And Doja Cat, what she's been doing is she's just been mocking people who have been talking shit about her in the comments, and who have been assuming she's a part of the Illuminati. She's literally been doing like Illuminati things, just kind of to amplify it, and just like this. And I think she is definitely turning it into an artsy thing for her to enjoy. But like I said, this type of energy, and for Britney Spears as well, this is not natally in their chart. It's just like when you have chemistry with someone and then you don't have chemistry with another person. It's a natural energy that you either have or you don't have. This is not natural in their chart. They're going out of their way to prove a point. And they believe it's either you're smart and you get it, you understand they're making fun of you if you've been talking shit, making fun of them, or you don't and you're an idiot. So I don't know if anybody gets that. So me as a rising Libra, like I said, I've personally done this to people who I know mock me, talk shit, but I don't directly call them out. I usually do this in ways where I'm just publicly making fun of myself, where I'll call myself dumb, or I don't know, I'll make fun of guys because low key, I know there's specific guys that are talking shit about me or making fun of me, but low key, it's like they're attracted to me. And it's like, well, you're kind of lacking self-awareness somewhere, right, guy? So it's like I can't sometimes, I feel like, help but act out and be angry. It's Mars. It's literally Mars energy. And the reason I feel like rising Libras get to this point where we act out is because we're so fucking angry, because people expect so much of us and they don't give a fucking shit. So we have these moments that do us absolutely no fucking justice, and then we have to come to terms with it. We're like, okay, us, like Britney Spears shaving her head, Doja Cat shaving her head. Britney Spears, I hope she comes out of what she's been doing, dressing the way she has, posting the videos she has, talking the way she has. Because if you guys hear the other videos behind closed doors, how she actually really sounds and talks and is able to articulate her words, she is smart. If you have Virgo in the 12th house, you are a smart person. If you have Virgo placements, yeah, you may be a bit judgy, but you're smart and you are definitely aware of what's going on. But sometimes you will intentionally hide this because you have a motive, but the motive serves you no justice. And like you can see with the videos that I post with Jennifer Aniston, she is the epitome of a true rising Libra. She is the goal that we have all set out for ourselves here on Earth. However, we all have different journeys. And even though they're very similar to one another, and this is why we are the collective, the planets and the different house placements and the different degrees that they're in are all speaking a different language to one another. So Jennifer Aniston, she's able to handle herself gracefully. She is literally able to do exactly what people expect of rising Libras. And that's why she is always loved 9 out of 10 times, because you can't please everybody in the world, right? She is always loved. Why is she always loved? Despite not being technically the most beautiful woman in the world, right? Because if you look at her, you don't think, oh, model, drop dead gorgeous, but yet there is something that is so attractive about her, right? Because she's a rising Libra and she acts like it. She is classy. She makes you laugh. She makes you think. And she's socially polite. In times of darkness that have been so public, she still handled herself gracefully. That is technically how rising Libras always were. And that's what people don't get. When you see Britney Spears and people like Doja Cat acting like this as a rising Libra, it's because they were always acting in some way like a Jennifer Aniston, and yet getting fucking stepped on or emotionally scarred out there, and nobody cared. And the second they stood up for themselves, if you look in the comments I posted, you have Doja Cat speaking up for herself. Is she being articulate about it? Is she being socially polite about it? No, she's not. But it still doesn't matter. She's sticking up for herself when somebody was publicly shaming her. Yet it doesn't matter because people expect her to be Venus and the moon. What is Venus and what is the moon? Okay, the moon belongs to the midheaven for a rising Libra. This belongs to the 4th house, right? This is Cancer energy. This is nurturing, somebody who makes you feel emotionally nurtured, and it's a chill environment and you feel safe and everything's good, relaxed. And Venus energy, this belongs with Libra, the 7th house, right? This is partnerships, relationships. I mean, this can also be the house of enemies as well. But this is technically like energetically what belongs to us. So if we don't act like the Venus and the moon, which by the way is mother energy, if we don't give that out, even during times of crisis in our own personal lives, Like what happened with Jennifer Aniston, where she was humiliated with the Brad Pitt and the cheating and the divorce and the things he said. She could have, rightfully so, stood up for herself, but she handled herself gracefully. And look, everybody loves her for it. Everybody loves her for it. So there's a lot of expectations, and it's not fair. But really, what would make a rising Libra feel good is truly getting to that Jennifer Aniston energy in the long run. But in order to get to that authentically, you do sometimes have to act out in this way, like Doja Cat or Britney Spears. And yeah, maybe these are extreme examples, but I'm trying to explain to you guys, this is the path of a rising Libra, and it may not be so dramatic or so over the top for people who aren't in Hollywood, but there's something very similar going on. And again, everybody has a different life path that they signed up for, and we should all keep that in mind. So yeah. Okay, so speaking of Lilith returns, right? This happens every 9 years. So Britney Spears turned 27, let's see, in 2008. This was the same year that all that bullshit happened to her with the conservatorship, all right? She has Lilith in her third house in Sagittarius in 7 degrees. So I know you guys don't see it here, but she has Lilith, okay? So what's the ruler of Sagittarius? It's Jupiter, and it's in Scorpio, and it's in 1 degree. What house is this in? Her second house, her wallet. So again, it just goes to show you, and this is the ruler of her zodiac sign in general. Okay, so she is a Sagittarius. She is a rising Libra, which is Venus. Venus natally rules the second house. She is a very powerful person. I mean, she's got the 2 degrees for a rising, her rising sign and her midheaven. So, I mean, me personally, how I would look at this is, if I were to look at her rising sign and her midheaven, I'm going to tell you, okay, besides a powerful person, besides looking at the ruler, Venus, and the moon for her midheaven, I'm also going to look at that second house because this is definitely connected to her journey and her path because there's a big story unfolding here. But anyway, so again, I wanted to bring this point back up in regards to this Lilith return and how, if you guys, I mean, look into your own lives, what happened at 27 and how does this connect somehow to your Saturn return? There may not be some type of, story like this, and we don't know what Doja Cat's is going to look like. I mean, but I feel like we can see what it will be connecting to, right? Because we're already getting the beginning of her story, just like we were getting the beginning of Britney's story. Something to do with freedom, something to do with her money, something to do with her money, and other greedy ass people thinking it's theirs and wanting in. Anyway, let's not get too crazy. Sorry. Oh, my goodness. And in 7 degrees, 7th house, again, connecting back to Libra energy. Okay, my emotions are getting the best of me. I'm not acting like a rising Libra. So my point is that with the Lilith story before the Saturn return, because Lilith energy really doesn't help out the rising Libra, because again, this kind of goes against our energy, but it also goes, it goes along our storyline. It's part of our path. at some point for us on a personal level. But there is some story unfolding for us that there's like this journey ahead that's going to be a bumpy road and difficult to deal with other people. And it deals with our rising sign, and it deals with going into the opposite energy of being a rising Libra. So yeah, I just wanted to show this again.
In 2000, Jennifer Aniston walked down the aisle with actor Brad Pitt, with the Malibu wedding reportedly costing a cool $1 million.
Wow, really got that sexy smoldering thing going on.
During their marriage, they walked red carpets together, and Pitt even guested on an episode of Friends. Just a few years later, in January 2005, they announced they were separating. By the end of the year, their divorce was finalized. A decade later, Aniston wed for the second time, this time to actor and writer Justin Theroux. That marriage ended up being shorter. In February 2018, the couple issued a statement announcing that they'd split the previous year. Aniston has remained on good terms with both of her ex-husbands. After the newly single Pitt attended her 50th birthday party in 2018, fans began pining for the two to get back together. They didn't, but have reportedly remained friendly. Ditto with Theroux, given that he and Aniston have only had good things to say about each other since their divorce. Despite their brevity, Aniston declared that she doesn't view either of her marriages as failures. Aniston told Elle in 2018, "My marriages, they've been very successful, in my personal opinion. And when they came to an end, it was a choice that was made because we chose to be happy, and sometimes happiness didn't exist within that arrangement anymore." During her marriage to Justin Theroux, Jennifer Aniston found herself in the midst of a media frenzy when rampant speculation and frequent tabloid reports began claiming that she was pregnant. In 2016, Aniston fired back in a scathing op-ed she wrote for HuffPost. Not only did she set the record straight by declaring she wasn't pregnant, she also took issue with the notion that a woman is defined by her marital and parental status. She wrote, "We are complete with or without a mate, with or without a child. We get to decide for ourselves what is beautiful when it comes to our bodies." Several years later, Aniston revealed why those reports were especially hurtful to hear at that time. She and Theroux actually had been trying to start a family. She admitted in a 2022 interview with Allure, "It was a challenging road for me, the baby-making road. All the years and years of speculation, it was really hard. I was going through IVF, drinking Chinese teas, you name it." When Jennifer Aniston wrote her 2016 HuffPost op-ed criticizing the media for its obsession with whether or not she was pregnant, she referenced the army of paparazzi that has relentlessly stalked her. She wrote, "Every day my husband and I are harassed by dozens of aggressive photographers staked outside our home who will go to shocking lengths to obtain any kind of photo, even if it means endangering us or the unlucky pedestrians who happen to be nearby." Of course, Aniston has experienced her own personal dust-ups with the paparazzi before. In 2005, she launched a lawsuit against a paparazzo who took photos of her sunbathing topless in her backyard. Those photos ended up in European magazines before ultimately being published elsewhere. Aniston explained in a 2016 interview with Marie Claire that the media's constant spin on her life was why she decided to fire back with her HuffPost op-ed. She said, "My marital status has been shamed. My divorce status was shamed. My lack of a mate had been shamed. My nipples have been shamed." She continued, "It's like, why are we only looking at women through this particular lens of picking us apart? Why are we listening to it? I just thought, I've worked too hard in this life and this career to be whittled down to a sad, childless human."
But this was not just about me. It was also saying something, insulting women that are out there doing this on their own.
Aniston had more to say on the topic in a 2018 interview with InStyle, noting, "I've definitely had my fair share of sexism in the media." She also called out the typical narrative that plays out in the media during pretty much every celebrity split, saying, "When a couple breaks up in Hollywood, it's the woman who is scorned. The woman is left sad and alone. She's the failure." When the world shut down in 2020 due to the pandemic, Jennifer Aniston suddenly found herself without the distraction of constant work opportunities. With film and television production halted and everyone advised to quarantine within their homes, Aniston decided to use this rare period of stillness in her otherwise hectic life to engage in some self-reflection. For Aniston, that reassessment resulted in resetting her priorities. She explained in her conversation with InStyle in 2021, "My level of anxiety has gone down by eliminating the unnecessary sort of fat in life that I had thought was necessary." During that interview, Aniston was also open about how she'd embraced therapy in order to quell her anxiety while also working on improving herself. Although her father left Jennifer Aniston and her mother when she was just 9, he ultimately resumed his paternal role in her life. A source told the Daily Mail in 2020, Jen forgave her father for walking out a long time ago, but their relationship has had its ups and downs. According to that source, Aniston hadn't spoken with her father for some time, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, she had something of an epiphany about the brevity of human life. Recognizing her father wouldn't be around for too much longer, she made an effort to reconnect. In November 2022, the Days of Our Lives star died at the age of 89. Aniston paid tribute in an Instagram post featuring a vintage photo of her father holding her when she was just an infant. She wrote in the caption, "Sweet Papa, John Anthony Aniston, you were one of the most beautiful humans I ever knew. I am so grateful that you went soaring into the heavens in peace and without pain. I'll love you till the end of time."
That thing with the deer, and then it's like literally me, and like, or like it's a bunny, and it's like, when you're hurting her, you're hurting me. When you're hurting her, you're hurting me. That kind of like, what is that? What are we calling that? What's the name for like the I'm a baby deer aesthetic? Because this feels like Tumblr evolved to this, or devolved, whatever you want to call it. I think it evolved. I think it's very cute, but if anyone can explain it, I would very much